How do we ditch the formula and follow our own path to freedom? That is a question we'll be answering in this video today. My name is Marissa Price. I am a Black woman social worker, intuitive healer, business coach as well, creating a safe space on the internet for Black women to share our experiences collectively, our resources with each other, as we all work to get free, right? Which a lot of us are on this wave of getting free from these institutions, from these mindsets that we didn't consent to, So that's kind of the purpose of this video. And thank y'all for joining me live today. If you're here live, please say hello in the chat. I always love to shout y'all out. But yeah, this video was inspired by an interview I saw with Doechii, who is a rapper. And so I've been following her journey over the past few months now, and to see her evolution of kind of throwing away the playbook, the formula that her record label had tried to force on her, right? To follow this is going to be a hit. And her really leaning into her intuition and what that has produced in her latest work. So if y'all know me, I am a huge music fan and really like tapping back into that love has been part of my healing journey. Hey, Lydia, good to see you. Yes, always good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so part of my healing journey has been rediscovering myself, reclaiming parts of myself that I had kind of tucked away in corporate environments, which I'm going to get into too. I have a free webinar coming up. If you're interested in freelancing, taking the skills that you already have, becoming a freelancer, which has really been key to my healing, right? As I say on my channel, right? Healing through liberation. Hey, Francis. Good to see you here. Yes. Yeah, as I talk about on my channel, right? Healing through liberation. And something I've really had to sit with. Would it have been possible for me to reach the level of healing that I have reached? And I'm still on my journey. I'm at the beginning of my journey. But would that have been possible being in such toxic, rigid, structured environments as I was in corporate America? And I think the answer to that is no. Right. And I really had to sit with that. So part of that healing journey for me, liberation journey, was exiting a very toxic job in corporate America, one that looked good on paper, right? It really looked good on paper, something that I had strived to achieve, and I ended up achieving it, and then got with it the toxicity, people being envious, jealous of my skill set that I brought in, which is the case for so many of us, and really having to make that decision to pivot, to take the skills that I already have, to pivot to freelancing, start my own business, and really be able to lean into the gifts and talents that I have and not be viewed as a threat in the environments that I'm in. So yes. Hey, Maya Spikes Rise. Yes. Good to see you here. Always good to see you, Maya. Yes. So who writes the rules? Why do their opinions count more? Right? Something I've been asking myself. Again, taking inspiration from Doechii's interview that she did. And Doechii is a rapper. I linked her interview that she did with Rolling Stone in the description section. But her just sharing, right, to throw the rule book out, the playbook out that we never agreed to adhere to. That's been played over and over again. A lot of us will get this message that if we just do the same thing, that people, hey, Leslie, good to see you. Best accent ever. Yes, thank you so much. That's true, right? I make the freaking rules, okay? It's true. And part of us reclaiming ourselves, right? Our sovereignty. What do we want our lives to look like versus the prescribed formula that has been told to us that we have to follow? Really coming out of that, like, what do you actually want your life to look like? And realizing that you have agency, you have power, you have control in doing that, right? Despite living under oppressive systems that try to convince us that we're not powerful, right? And the most powerful are always the most targeted, something I've really been reflecting on. But how can we like toss that out, right? Something that we didn't agree to uphold, something that has harmed a lot of us in the process. Like I said, being in corporate environments, right? Following the rule book, following the playbook that was given to me, and really being met with vitriol because I did it so well, right? And that's a confusing process for a lot of us. We're achieving these milestones that were laid out for us, and yet in return, we're getting vitriol, we're getting overlooked, we're getting multiple roles put on us in these workplaces, right? For literally doing the things that are listed in the job description, actually going above and beyond. So it's that process is confusing. And I know, like from pet to threat, which I've talked about before, that can take you through a whirlwind, right? Things that you have put your heart and soul into, right? Things that you've studied, initiatives that you've worked on, and then to be met with the treatment that we're so often met with in the workplace as Black women. Does the formula work for us that we've been told that we have to play by? And if not, can we throw it out and create our own path to freedom, right? Our own like happiness and joy, whatever that looks like for us, and really embracing sovereignty of self. I think that's important. Yeah, butterfly effect. Good to see you here. Yes, hello, hello. Yes, y'all. So if y'all have any advice, tips, things that you're doing to throw out the formula, to ditch the formula and follow your own path to freedom, which is the title of the video, how are you doing that? Right? How are you challenging what has been told to you as this is the path that you have to follow or else? Right? A lot of these things are told to us with fear attached to it. If you don't follow the formula, if you don't follow like X plus Y equal, okay, we've seen that work for other people. And that's another lie we're told, right? Because it worked for those people, it will work for us. That's not always the case. And so what does that create when we don't yield the same results? Because the playbook, the formula was never meant for us to succeed, right? That can create a lot of feelings of disillusionment, right? Of grief, of you pouring all of yourself into this project, this role that you're doing, and you're not yielding the results that you were told you would yield because it was never set up for you to succeed, right? And it may have worked for another person when they did it. But again, given the systems of oppression that we live in, it doesn't always work for us that way, right? And so we have to be real about that and not internalize when the results don't go that way, that we're told that they go, right? And really putting that blame back on, we're in systems of oppression. Sometimes we can put everything into something, all of ourselves and more, drain ourselves, right? And still not get the results that we wanted, that we were told that we would get. And so is the formula working that we're told would be the key to success, right? To happiness, to freedom, to joy, to all these things. Is that formula working? And if not, can we throw it out and do what works for us and yield results that are like beyond our imagination, which Doechii did with her latest album, right? Right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, come on. This formula is, yes, it is. Thank you for that, Leslie. It is. Leslie says, I had to leave my job, which admittedly I loved, and now I feel like I'm floundering because I'm a bit lost, but I'm trying to finish my book and not getting to the desired result. So disheartening. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. I went through that same thing. Yeah. In many ways, I'm still kind of in that, feeling lost. Like I said, after having put all of my energy, all of my efforts into this path that I was told would yield the results that I wanted, right? The straight A's, the honor roll for my entire life, right? The honors awards. And then still ending up in a toxic job environment where those very things that were told to me that I had to do, people perceive me as a threat for having those things. And this is the case for so many of us, which is why I'm sharing resources about like freelancing, which has really provided me with a way to tap into those gifts, lean into them unapologetically, attract clients who are not threatened by those. Because a lot of us have these gifts and we can't turn them off, right? It's just who we are. We're brilliant. We are brilliant. And so what is that like in a workplace where other people don't have that level of brilliance and they're looking at you like, well, how come she has that? Right? That leaves us in a vulnerable position. It does. And so freelancing has really provided me right? And a lot of other Black women with a way to reclaim those gifts that a lot of us were born with. We don't even have to try that hard at them, and channel them into a way to bring in income to fund whatever life that you want to have. And realizing that the power is in your hands to create your life. You don't have to live your life by the way like someone told you to. Right? Again, who writes the rules? Why do their opinions count more than yours? This is your life. This is your life. Hey, Mimi. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. Yeah. Oh no, Leslyn. OMG, I saw a job offering recently and they actually asked for the GPA of the candidates. I was floored. I just have no words for that, right? Because again, we're told that we need all these things. And then the bar keeps being raised or the criteria change. And so what we had before, it doesn't even meet what is expected now. And so who holds the power in that situation to constantly move the bar up here, down here, over here, right? The different qualifications that you need. And how can something like freelancing, if you are interested in entrepreneurship, because I know that that is not something that everyone is interested in, and I get it, believe me. But yeah, how can different options that are available to you help alleviate some of that stress? Realize that you have options outside of that. Constantly being told that you need this qualification, when you get it, then it makes you a threat. It's like, what are we doing here? We're really being set up in a lot of these like work environments, right? What do you think about it? So yeah. A GPA requirement for a job. That's a new one for me. That's a new one. Yeah. And so let me link the webinar in the chat. If y'all are interested in attending, I'll be co-hosting it with Quinn Edwards, who is my friend and fellow Black woman freelancer, who is a web designer. Yes. Yeah, so Work Anywhere, Live Everywhere is the title of this Freelancing 101 for Black women. Both of us started our freelance journeys to get out of work environments that were toxic, right? And we started with Digital Nomad Kit. That is a training program both of us went through to kind of launch our virtual assistant businesses. And now we're pivoting to different areas of freelancing, which is one of the things that's amazing. You can try different things that interest you. And you don't have to be so like pigeonholed to one area like you would in a job, right? Because sometimes it can be difficult to transition industries, jobs. If you're in them with freelancing, it's a lot easier. You do have that ability to pivot much more easily, which I think that we need. Hey, Saida, good to see you here. Good to see you here. Yeah. Husband said they could keep that. I'm not sure what is going to happen, but they could keep that. Yeah. We don't need GPA requirements for jobs. Yeah. And it's constant like criteria to weed people out. Right? And we see this in so many different areas. How can we exclude people? Right? And it's getting tired. It's really getting tired. Like, really, we're still doing this? And we're seeing these things tighten even more as the structures, the systems become weaker. We're seeing the restrictions, the qualifications get even more intense, as to be expected, right? Because the structure is shaking. We see it. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Leslyn. Yes. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for registering. Yes. And we'll be providing like the initial information, right, about what freelancing is, our journeys to freelancing, And then there will be a discount code if you are interested in group coaching with us, which we will be launching. So, yes, exciting stuff. As more of us are looking to pivot out of toxic work environments that are not serving us anymore, again, ditching the formula and finding freedom for ourselves, whatever that looks like for us. Living life on our own terms. Shout out to Pete Girl Travels the World, Adelia Borshade. But yeah, really embracing that freedom that we come here knowing that we have. And little by little over time, it usually starts, for me, it started elementary school, right? We're being told that we must adhere to a system that we really did not consent to adhere to. Right? And so what would happen if we ditch that formula, ditch the playbook that is not working for so many of us, and found freedom on our own terms? Right? Yeah. Yeah, so many of us are taught to do things by the book, right? Doing everything as I did, getting the straight A's, getting the grades, getting the degrees from the top institutions, a lot of us. And even if you don't have a degree, please know you're still in this conversation, because the same issues that we experience in the workplace, it doesn't matter what education level you have. And I think we've seen that, right, from Black women sharing their stories. So we're playing by a formula that was never meant for us. And then we're blaming ourselves when we can't achieve the results we were promised. Why are we blaming ourselves? If the formula was never created for us, right, it might have worked for one person over there. That doesn't mean it's going to work for us. Why are we blaming ourselves? Why are we internalizing something being wrong with us versus placing the blame on the system at play that literally sets us up for this? Questions. So is that really our fault? Or did we ever really need to play by a formula? Was that a lie that was told to us? Couldn't we just trust ourselves to know the way of freedom, the way that we're being led naturally? Again, who writes the rules? Why do their opinions count more than yours? Are you not a player in your own life? What if we leaned more into how things felt versus how they looked on paper? I just felt that. Yes. What if we leaned more into how things felt versus how they looked on paper? Leaning into your intuition, right? What if we leaned into the power of our knowing when making decisions versus going by the formula, going by the playbook? What would happen? Right? We're told the lie that if we do things in a specific order, that will always yield the desired results. We've seen that that is not true. Because there is no playbook for life, we're not robots, even though we're socialized to act as robots, right? On these very rigid schedules, these environments that don't allow us to take time off. All of these things are socializing us to be robots, machines within the system. What if we rejected that? Liddy, yes. We're conditioned to take on all of the blame, but get none of the credit when things go right. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. And so what does that do to us when we're blaming ourselves for something that we had no control over? Right? And shame is a very heavy emotion. Right? When we blame ourselves for things that were never our fault, it's often internalized as shame. And then that gets in the way of us realizing how brilliant we are, how powerful we are, because that shame really, like, you can feel it physically, right? When you try to do something new, now you have this voice like telling you that you can't do it. Is that your voice? Can you take that voice out, right? De-weed that from your mind and really come back into your power. That was never your fault. It is. Yep. It's such a mind F. It is. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. And just realizing that you have the power now to ditch the formula. If you've seen but it's not working for you. It's not yielding the results that you were promised. Can you try something else? With your unlimited options that exist in the world, with your agency, with your power, can you pivot to something else and try it out? Right? Giving yourself the freedom, the flexibility to try these things versus sticking to the formula that you've seen is not yielding the results that you want them to yield. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Alicia. Yes. Yeah. So, yes, we become our own strict teachers, our own doubters. We question ourselves. When does this begin? Because we don't come here questioning ourselves. When we have an idea, when we have something that we want to pursue, right, we go for it. We see kids do this all the time. So when do we start to question ourselves, what we know to be inherently true? When are we told to adopt the formula? And is the formula in our best interest? Or is it benefiting someone else? Questions to think about. Yeah. Oh, book recommendation. Thank you. I'm reading a book called Failing Forward right now that has been helpful in shifting my mindset with regards to things that I'm unfamiliar with and uncertain about. Thank you for that. Y'all know I love book recommendations. Thank you. Failing Forward. Thank you. Okay. Yes. We're told to be hyper-focused on what other people think about us. What if we let that go and took our own path to freedom? What does freedom mean to you? It is individual, right? So that's something to consider as well. The formula may yield someone else freedom because freedom is individual, right? But is that freedom to you? Is that freedom to you? And if not, can you ditch the formula and follow your own path to freedom? Again, who created this formula and who does it benefit? Does it benefit you? Has it benefited you in the past when you've done everything by the book? This book, right, that we're told to follow as if there's a playbook to life. Has it yielded you what you wanted to receive? This has been a question I've been asking myself as I have, again, done everything by the book for so long and still ended up in environments where the gifts, the qualifications that I was told to accumulate, right, I was viewed as a threat for those very qualifications. So is the formula set up for us to achieve joy, happiness, or just to be members of the system to uphold the status quo? Oh, okay. That is such a great read. Failing Forward was great for me in navigating fear. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. Right? It's in someone's best interest, which again can help you kind of understand why the messaging, why we receive what we receive. It's benefiting someone else. It's benefiting the status quo for us to view ourselves as just having to follow a formula as if we're robots and not really taking power, agency, control over our own lives and what we want to do during our time here on earth, which we know is very limited. Yeah. Following this playbook is like planting peaches and trying to reap lettuce. Thank you for that. Yes. Perfect analogy. Thank you. Yeah, it is. And again, if we blame ourselves for reaping lettuce when we planted peaches, right? Like we must have done something wrong. That's not true. It was set up for this the entire time. Yeah. we were not given the full information, which is something I've been sitting with, right? Even like the playbook, the formula that we're given, we're not told the roadblocks that happen along the way, the down moments in someone's journey. We're just given like the pretty picture and told to follow that exact formula. And it's not the full picture that we should be presented with. Yeah. So, yes, I have been reading White Supremacy Culture, The One Right Way specifically. So, I'll link that here. If you're interested in learning the different values, characteristics of white supremacy culture, I would recommend you read this website. It is full of information. And one of those things is the one right way that we're told exists in reality, right? That there is a cultural belief that there is one right way to do things. And once people are introduced to the right way, they will see the light and adopt it. This belief is connected to the belief that the right way is the perfect way, and therefore perfection is both attainable and desirable. Right? So something else to consider. How are these things that we're being taught, this formula, part of the larger culture that a lot of us are recognizing does not benefit us, does not serve us, and actually leads to our continued oppression? So yes, let me know. I would love to know how y'all are ditching the formula, pursuing your own path to freedom, trusting yourself, the downloads that you receive, as Dochi did in her interview, which I linked in the description section, to really yield the results that you want to yield, to achieve the freedom that you want to achieve, what you want your life to look like, not what someone else told you that your life should look like, right? If you're not happy, you can always pivot. You have, again, unlimited options in life, which I don't think Black women are told enough, right? We're told that our options are like right here and everybody else has like this long list of options. That's just not true. That's not true. Yeah. 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 When I first read that, I came across that in graduate school. Yeah. Learning about the tenets really did a number on me. Yeah. Yeah. Because you realize how deeply ingrained these messages are that we're not even really aware of consciously. They're just being told to us over and over again through repetition. And then we adopt them for ourselves, right? Without really having a chance to question, is this something that I want to take on? Yeah. Yeah. So, how do these characteristics and qualities lead to disconnection from each other, ourselves, and all living things when we pursue perfection, which does not exist? Right? How does that lead to disconnection from ourselves? When we're pursuing the formula, when we're trying to get the formula exactly correct, how does that disconnect us from the things that we receive naturally? Right? Messages, downloads. A lot of us experience this. And yet we go on a different path so often because it's not on the formula. It's not a part of the formula. Who created the formula? And why is this being sold to us that we have to live our lives in this way? So, one right way also shows up as the belief that there is one right way to do things. And once people are introduced to the right way, they will see the light and adopt it. When a person or group does not adapt or change to fit the one right way, then those defining or upholding the one right way assume something is wrong with the other, those not changing, not with us. So it has to be that person who's not fitting in. Right? And so many of us have had this experience of not fitting into these environments because they were never created for us. But now we're taking this on ourselves. Something's wrong with us. We're taking off pieces of ourselves that we actually need. Every part of you exists on purpose, right? But we're taking these off to try to fit into these environments that's like they never wanted us there. And they're being clear about that now. They've, right? The lie has been like, oh no, we want you here. We want your opinions to extract labor, which we've seen, not our actual full beings, just our ideas, just our creativity to extract, right? So, what does that do? When we think something is wrong with us, then we start to dim our own light, our own power, we start to question, our own intuition, we ignore. And so, who is this benefiting the entire time? Definitely not us. Yeah. Yeah, Mimi says it causes self doubt and uncertainty when what we desire or feel led to is outside the right way of doing things. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. 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 Because now you're questioning, right? Something that's very divine, sacred, your intuition. And that can take, ooh, that can really lead you down a spiral, right? Self gaslighting. Now you're gaslighting yourself about what you've experienced, what you know to be true. You don't have any real grasp on reality anymore. And who is this benefiting the entire time? Right? When you don't have touch with that sacred part of yourself, your intuition, right? You're much more easily put into things that normally you would be like, oh, absolutely not, which we come here having, right? And part of healing I found is really reclaiming those parts that we came here with. The ability to say, absolutely not. No, you're not going to talk to me this way, right? Which we experience in workplaces so often. You're not going to treat me this way. You're not going to underpay me. But what happens when we do that? Violence in different forms. Yeah. And so part of healing is learning about social conditioning that literally like sets us up for this, to question ourselves, to doubt ourselves, right? To tell us that the only path to success, freedom, is the formula that we never created, that we had no hand in like putting together. But this is the formula we must follow to achieve these things. And then we get to the point and it's like we realize that was a mirage the entire time. And so if you're experiencing those feelings of grief, disillusionment, after doing all the things right, by the book, by the formula, right, just take that off yourself. This is intentional messaging that is given to us at such an early age when our brains are still developing. And then we're put into this funnel in a society to be workers, to uphold the system, to uphold the status quo, and ignore our intuition, ignore the things that we're feeling, to follow the formula. Yeah. Lydia says it definitely encourages us to compete. Oh my gosh, that's a good point. To compete with each other in the workplace because they tell us that there can only be one while reinforcing that we don't belong at all. Yes. Mm-hmm. Competition, another facet of white supremacy culture. Again, if you're interested in learning more, this is the website I'm pulling from. Yeah, competition. Right? So there's only one coveted space. Why do we only get one space? Again, I've said this before, but like when you look at board of directors, right? Everybody looks dang near the same. But there's only one spot for us. Why? Why is there only one spot? Given our brilliance inherently. That's such a good point. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then lateral oppression occurs, right? Which is when we turn oppression that we experience in the larger society in on each other because the stakes are viewed as lower. So then we start enacting that out on each other. And those consequences can be heartbreaking, right? So someone that you thought that you could trust that was on the same page as you, on the same wavelength, it's like, oh, they're actually competing against me. They're actually working with the system to try to destroy me as well. Yeah. While reinforcing that we don't belong at all. Yeah. Yeah. And again, the lie in a lot of these, like in the context of workplaces, right? And we see it being rolled back, DEI. Right? The lie was that we want you here. We want your talents, which they do, but to extract. We want your gifts to extract, not you as a full person. But those efforts are being rolled back. And so we're seeing what so many of us have felt for so long. You're not being sincere. You're lying. You don't want us here, right? You're literally telling us, it doesn't even have to be like verbatim, but you're telling us that we don't belong. That we should be grateful that you gave us a spot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so, how can we now take that energy, our gifts, our talents, our skills, and create places where we belong, right? Where we don't have to jump through hoops for someone's approval, which we never receive. That's another ploy. That's another mirage, right? Jump through this hoop, this hoop, this hoop, and then you'll get to the end and we'll view you as human. No, you won't. No, you won't. We've seen it happen throughout history over and over again. No. That brings up different thoughts. Like, I don't know if I want to get into that, but like integration, something I'm thinking about talking about, right? Just a lot of lies around that entire process that we're now seeing the truth in 2024. In 2024. And it's heartbreaking. Yeah. So perfectionism, again, this is pulled from the white supremacy culture website. Perfectionism is the conditioned belief and attitude that we can be perfect based on a standard or set of rules that we did not create and that we are led to believe will prove our value. We come here valuable. Why else would we be on earth? That doesn't make no sense. When we think about other living things, which is why I wrote about trees, do trees sit here and be like, am I valuable? Am I worthy? No, we see trees and we're automatically like, yes, they're here, so they're worthy. Hopefully we do, right? But yeah. Work on developing the ability to notice when you become defensive and or insistent about doing something your way, and do everything you can to take a breath. Allow yourself room to consider how a different path or paths might improve your approach and or offer you something you really need. So this is where like flexibility of thinking comes into play. Can you take a different path? Something I've talked about before. If you notice yourself, I'm about to go down this path, path A, I know overthinking, I know self-criticism, I know that very well, I know what that leads to. Can you take a different path? Can you trust your intuition this time and see and just play with it a little bit? Is this yielding something that feels better, closer to what I want to experience? If you take path B, if you ditch the formula, path A, that has led you, again, self-criticism, seeking perfectionism, which does not exist, playing by someone else's rule book and take path B, what could happen if you trusted yourself, your instincts, your intuition? Yeah. Oh, thank you. And good to see you, Critic Chronicles. Good to see you. Yeah. I don't even feel bad for Walmart. Me neither. Me neither. But it's interesting, right? A lot of the the initiatives, the lies, I mean, let's just be honest, the lies that we have been told, especially in my generation, coming up, that all that was in the past. We don't have to be worried about that anymore. False. Then why are so many of us experiencing the exact same things that our predecessors did? If all of that was in the past, why does it feel so similar? Mm-hmm. That's it. Gaslighting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is gaslighting. It is questioning your reality so that you begin to question your own reality, which is self-gaslighting. Right? And that's where the danger really comes into play. Because again, this inherent knowing that we come here having, that comes into question. And now you don't have any touch with reality, what you feel, what you know to be true. Now you're seeking those answers, those explanations outside yourself, which means that someone else has that power to tell you this is right and this is wrong, when that should come from within. Yeah. If anyone says the trees are not worthy, I'm sicking Alicia on them. Let her tell them yes. 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 Trees are so worthy. Trees are so worthy. Yeah. And we don't, hopefully, we don't question that. Right? Other living things that we see just living their lives. And someone had mentioned this on my video previously, human supremacy, how we just view everything like, what do we think? What do we feel? What do we know to be true? What if you kind of like went outside that? What do other living things, how do they live? How do they operate? Do they follow this formula that we're told that we have to follow? No. And where does this come from? This messaging. It's really getting curious about these different things that we've been told. Asking yourself, does this work for me? Has this worked for me in the past? Being self-aware. Does this feel good? Or can I take a different route? Can I take a different path? Can I be more flexible? Can I trust my intuition? Again, as Dochi did as she said in her interview, which I linked in the description. Trusting yourself and really ditching the formula. To yield the results that you want to yield, to create your own path to freedom, to generate the things that you want in your life. And part of that is really reclaiming your agency and your sovereignty over yourself. That you have the ability to create that, to decide these things for yourself. No one else has to tell you what you want in your life. Right? And that can be easier said than done. Something I'll be talking about is healing from codependency, which is huge, a huge topic. Something I'm doing at the moment. Right? Again, a lot of these things are rooted in childhood experiences, which are informed by the larger systems of oppression at play. But if you were taught to question your intuition, to only follow this formula, if you deviated outside of the norm, it was violence. It was a response that you really could not predict. You may be even hold on tighter, right, to the formula because that's what you've been taught. But can you start to unlearn that little by little? Yeah. Yes, Leslie says, it gives rise to unnecessary competition and shame, yes, causing us to doubt not only ourselves, but those that came before us and steer the future in crazy directions. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shame. Yeah. But those that came before us, yes. History. History is such a huge part of oppression. If they can separate you from what has happened in the past, which provides us with a lot of answers on what to expect, on what we're experiencing now, and something I've also been thinking about, right? Not only does oppression separate you from history as we know it, but also your personal history. So your history from childhood, adolescence, all of these things that we're taught are silly or unimportant, which really hold the answers to why we're showing up, how we're showing up now, right? How we can change things to go forward in the future. That's where the answers lie. It's in your personal history. And part of oppression separates us from our history, collectively and also personally, individually. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah. Mm, yeah. My observation was most of the privileged folks didn't even attend the diversity, equity, and inclusion workshops that taught them how to be more inclusive and better in the workplace. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Thank you for that. Yep. It's true. Yeah. Mimi, yes. Thank you. Yes. A lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts. Yeah. Mm. That's one of the most egregious ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, y'all. As we're winding down, I do want to tell y'all again, I'm having a webinar, hosting a webinar with Quinn Edwards, who is a fellow freelancer, Black woman freelancer, as we seek to exit a lot of these environments that do not allow us to be brilliant, right? See our brilliance as a threat. Gaslight us, underpay us, give us multiple jobs as if we're workhorses, dehumanize us. How can we take our skills back into our own hands if this is an interest to you, right? Being a freelancer, being an entrepreneur, knowing that this is not the path for everyone. So I do want to say that. But if this is of interest to you, please register for a free webinar, Work Anywhere, Live Everywhere, Freelancing 101 for Black women, on December 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, as wrapping up, just ditch the formula. If it's not working for you, if it's working for you, hey. But if it's not working for you, ditch it. Know that you can. Know that you have the power to follow your own path to freedom, to determine what your life looks like for you, leaning into self-determination, self-sovereignty, and really doing away with the stuff that's not serving you, that doesn't feel good, that's not aligned with your intuition. And know that you have the power to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Lesson says that is a huge topic and we all on some level have to deal with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. The people who most need to learn things like DEI are the ones who are the least interested in them. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, I feel that there's a great journal prompt, Slavery is a Choice, so we can just put those thoughts on paper and see it all. See what people really think, right? Because that is so disturbing. That is really disturbing to see that come out of people's mouths. Still, right? Knowing all we know about psychological trauma, the brutality of the transatlantic slave trade, and how we're still being impacted by it generations later. Literally in our DNA, we're carrying it with us, that trauma. And to see people still say that, yeah, it's disturbing. It's enraging. Yeah. 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 And so that's the one of the parts of healing from understanding oppression is reclaiming history, your personal history, your childhood, your adolescence, your young adulthood, putting those like pieces back in the puzzle so that you can see the full picture. What has your life been like, right? Telling yourself your own story, the same way that we're having to do now as we're seeing rollbacks of our history in textbooks, right? Trying to rewrite what actually happened. We're having to reclaim the parts from firsthand accounts, from books, from right different sources, and put the pieces together for ourselves so that we have an inclination of what's to come, although we can't be 100% certain. Right? History tells us a lot. And that's why there's so many efforts to try to disconnect us from that history, both collectively and personally, by telling us stuff like childhood stuff is silly. It doesn't matter. The things that you did in childhood, why would you pick those back up? That was what brought you joy at your essence. And so why can't you pick those up again? Right? Ditch the formula, again, that tells us all these lies to ensure our continued oppression. Ditch it, pick those back up, do what brings you joy, do what brings you happiness. Especially in these times, it's crucial, right? It's critical to really sit in self-sovereignty, self-determination of what you want your life experience to be like, because this is a limited time experience. Yeah. It's disturbing. It is. Yeah. 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 Butterfly Effect says denying our history is a form of erasing us. Yes. From the human collective and denying our humanity. Erasing us from the human collective. Wow. Yeah. That's powerful and true. Yeah. Yeah. So if they can deny that we had any history prior to colonization, prior to enslavement, right? How does that dehumanize us? That we just came here to be workers. That was all our lives were supposed to be? No. No. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And erasing our contributions, that taking credit for stuff that you had no hand in, right? That you could not have accomplished without us. But now you're removing that history. You're assuming credit, right? Feeding into the lie of supremacy, of superiority. Which we can all see is false. Again, which is why when we're in workplaces and we are being brilliant naturally, we're shining, that becomes a threat to the system, right? Because we're fed the message that we're inferior. Proven false. Proven false. And it irritates, it kind of brings up the truth. No, that's completely incorrect. And I think Alicia said this, like oppression is just projection. It is. It truly is. And we see that with the pet to threat phenomenon. If you are coming in here and irritating parts within me that I'm not ready to address, my own inferiority, just by you being you, then I'm going to perceive you as a threat and try to push you out. Again, no matter the formula that you followed, no matter the degrees that you have, the certifications that you've accumulated, the GPA, all of these things that we're told that matter that we've seen on full display. No, we've known, but we're seeing it on full display. Yeah. That process can be so confusing. And you'll start to ask yourself, what's wrong with you? Right? What's wrong with me? All these things that I've done, and I'm still not able to achieve this formula that was force fed to me that I had to follow. Realizing it was never you. The formula was created to ensure your continued oppression. And so by you taking your agency back, your power back, your self-determination back, ditching the formula, following your own path to freedom, that is the way to what you want, right? To your freedom, to your self-expression, which I feel like is really the goal of life, right? Not to work. You can't outwork oppression. That was a message that came to me, I think that was last year. But you can't outwork oppression, which we're told so often. Just work harder. Just work harder. Just get another degree. Right? When people around us who don't have these things, who do not work hard, ascend. And so why are we being told these messages? Who is that benefiting? Is it benefiting you? And if not, can you ditch it and go a different path that feels better, that yields the results that you want to yield, that gives you room for self-expression, autonomy? All these things that we're taught are off limits to us. Again, because we're told our options are here for life and everyone else's options are just expansive. That is oppression. Yeah. Mimi says, as weird as it sounds, it's almost comforting for me to see the mask coming off, because there were so many years where we were viewed as crazy for calling attention to things that were 100% true. Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. That resonates. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. And questioning our reality, right? Gaslighting us. Now, what you're seeing, that's not there. That was in the past. What do you mean that was in the past? I'm experiencing it now. I know how it feels to be disrespected, right? For the aggressive behavior to start, to be pushed out. Because all of these things that are within me, that are my gifts, represent a threat to the system. Because we're proving like the messaging wrong that we're force fed, that we're inferior. That we're just here to work, to labor. We're proving that wrong with our very existence and our brilliance that comes to us inherently. Yep. Yeah. And then we're being called crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Mimi. Yeah. Terrifying because who knows where we go from here. Yes. But great to know where we really stand. Yeah. 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 That part. Who knows where we go from here? None of us know. And again, we can use history as a a guide, right? For some things to expect, but we've never been in this place before. We don't know. We can pretty much guess a few things. As we've seen the rollbacks of initiatives, we've seen behavior in the workplace against Black women worsen. As if it wasn't already bad enough, as I've talked about extensively on my channel, right? We're seeing these things worsen. Yeah. It's easier to know the truth than to have them continue to hide behind the lies. Yeah. 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 Because it's like, at least I know where you stand. Versus you lying, concealing how you actually feel, and then just being set up to be harmed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, listen. Mm-hmm. 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 It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. Um, so yeah, as more of us are coming into the radical acceptance of what we're in, things that we have known for a long time, but it's just so blatant. It's so blatant that the formula was never created for us. That all of the effort, the time, the energy that we've put into a lot of these things is not going to yield the results that we were promised. Right? If other people can not accomplish, not achieve a modicum of what we have and ascend to the highest heights, what is this messaging that we're being told? That we have to get their approval, their permission to do what we want to do, to live our lives the way we want to live them. And what would happen if you rejected that messaging and embrace your inherent power, your agency, your autonomy, again, your self-determination, sovereignty over who you are and how you move through the world, to really build a life that aligns with you? Yeah. And how could that be a path to freedom, liberation? Credit Chronicle says everybody wants our brilliance because they know we hold the magic. Our strength, style, intuition, wit, music, talents, everything. Hair, swag, existence, girl, everything. Yes. Everything. Everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The most powerful are the most targeted. And so if you have been targeted in the workplace, you've followed the formula, you've done everything right, you've been pushed out as a result, you've had microaggressions thrown your way, people have tried to sabotage you in the workplace, right? Know that the formula was not created for brilliant you. And you may have to go out of that formula. You may have to ditch it and really tap in to your power, to your gifts, validate them for yourself. Please don't leave that to anyone else to validate for you, because you already know that you're amazing. Hopefully you do. And if not, a series of affirmations every day may be helpful to really remind yourself that no, you are powerful. You can ditch that formula. You can follow your own path to freedom, happiness, joy, whatever that looks like for you, and determine that for yourself in your life. Yeah. Saida, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants it. But no one wants to pay us for it. Put that where the sun does not shine. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yep. Yeah. Again, it's being brought in for all of these amazing qualities. And the goal is extraction. The goal is not valuing you as a person for what you bring to the table, for what you achieve, for the job responsibilities that you follow in the context of the workplace, for the light that you bring to the world. The goal is extraction, right? So their goal is extraction, but that doesn't mean you have to be extracted from. That's where you can put the barrier up for yourself. You can establish that boundary. I understand your goal, but that's not going to happen. And again, something that we come here having within us, the ability to say no, to stand up for ourselves. And through childhood experiences, through bullying, through so many things that happen along the way, we might lose touch with that part of ourselves. But it's always possible to reclaim that as long as you're on earth, right? Because every previous version of yourself is still you. It's still you. Yeah. We are so accustomed to operating in systems that were not made for us, though. And there is something so powerful about that, too. It doesn't feel good, but we all know it. Yeah. 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 In survival mode, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I understand that. Throughout history, that being a source of power as well. Despite everything that has happened, that we're still able to push back and be like, no, that we're still able to hold on to something that this is not right and navigate these oppressive systems. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What they did to the continent where they found us, they're still doing to us. They only care about profit, not people. Yeah. 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 And that's so important why I'm talking about colonialism. This huge, enormous topic that I'm still very much a beginner on. But in connecting the dots, I'm realizing how much of these behaviors we see on an interpersonal level, even thinking about toxic jobs. How is this connected back to the larger system of colonialism that literally teaches us to extract from the earth, from each other? And so, how is this playing out between us? Yeah. In institutions, organizations, families. It's deep. It's really deep. Yeah. Lesson says very true. They're leeching our gifts just as this, as they have leached all the natural resources in the lands that we are originally from. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's it exactly. Again, the goal being extraction. Extraction is the goal from the colonizer mindset. It's not appreciating you, it's not valuing you, just like it's not valuing the land, it's not appreciating the land or the people indigenous to the land. You're viewing people as an obstacle to get what you want. And so how does this continue to show up? It's copy and paste throughout so many dynamics that we see at play in life. Transactional. How can I extract from this person? Yeah, it is. Yep. Leeching our gifts just as they leached all of the natural resources in the lands that we are originally from. Yeah. Mm. Hmm. Yep. Mm. That's so true. That's so true. I'll sit with that one for a second. Yes, yes, that's true. Facts. Yeah, yeah. I got to go back and screenshot that, Leslie. That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so again, the formula. What is the formula for? What was it created to do? Who was it created for? Who was it created to benefit, and who was it created to harm? Who was it created to make doubt themselves, question themselves, turn off their intuition? And who was it created to artificially put on top and ensure that position stays? And then how can you tap into your power to ditch that formula? Questions to explore. Yeah. Thank you so much for allowing the space for this topic. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I thought I was healed. I'm forever offended. This is so real. And this is the process of healing. It's like you heal one layer. I think Lavandula said this in a previous live I had. You heal one layer, and that other layer will pop up. Like, I didn't know there was a second layer. Oh, there's multiple layers. This is a continuous process throughout your life of realizing the connections, having to heal from that, right? Because a lot of this trauma happens before we're even cognizant of what's happening. When our brains are developing in those early stages, we're still carrying these messages forward unconsciously. And so having to literally go through, pick apart, de-weed your mind, I never agreed to have this in my mind. Why is it still there? This is a long process. A long process, yeah. And new things will be revealed to you that you didn't even know were there. The more that you begin healing and understanding how you've been impacted. Yes. No, yeah, the healed part, the healed, yeah. It's a process and they have dragged us long enough to make it very difficult. 100%. And no, I've had to reach, again, radical acceptance. I'll never be healed. I'll never be healed. It's just not possible. Right? Having that radical acceptance, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to stop healing. Healing is like the verb, right? Of making these connections, of understanding the things that have impacted you, the larger systems at play that have told you that you're not powerful, that you don't have agency, that you have to follow this formula that has maybe resulted in your harm. And that's the only way to live life. No, no. And the more that you are healing, right, those things will pop up that you didn't even realize were there. And so it's a continuous process of grace, understanding, and compassion, radical compassion for yourself. And understanding what you've been through, the more you start to realize, wow, all these systems have been working against me for my entire life. Yeah. 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 Okay, y'all. I didn't know how long that was going to take. I think, yes, it's been over an hour. But yeah, I want to thank y'all for being here, for participating, for sharing everything that you shared in the chat with us. I'll be live on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Ashley, who I talked to before about burnout. That was the first thing we talked about, but we're going to be talking about how to thrive after a toxic job. Ashley has launched her own skincare line, which I'm excited about, but we'll be talking about how to reclaim those parts of yourself, your gifts, your talents that made you a threat in toxic institutions, workplaces, all these settings that we find ourselves in and really sit with the fact that you're gifted and that you can make it happen. It may be a different way, but once you really lean into the power of those, doors will open, right? New possibilities will present themselves. And that is just the power of realizing how gifted you are, brilliant you are. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mimi. I appreciate that. Chef Blondie, hey, yes, hello, Marissa, and to all the new, oh, I love that. To all the new journey seekers, healing through your new development of self-love, peace, and love. Oh, thank you for that. Yes. Yeah, and that reminds me, I do have a channel membership if you're interested, Healing Together, that I'm in the process of launching. I think you can sign up now if you're interested in supporting the channel in that way. I do have a private video that I uploaded for members only. Black women don't need more tough love. If you want to watch that, please join the membership. But yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, y'all. Such a great live. Thank you, Marissa. We love you. Oh, I love you too. Thank you, Leslyn. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You're so welcome, y'all. Yes. So I hope y'all have, a beautiful rest of your day in any way that looks like for you. And I will see y'all here live Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern with Ashley, as we talk about how to thrive after a toxic job. Listen, me too. Me too. Me too. Yes. Bye, y'all. Thank you for being here. Bye. Bye.